As we were discussing before the break, the pushback to President Biden's COVID shot mandate is pretty intense. Published late last week, the rule on Friday, the response has been fast and furious in opposition. Another state that the Biden administration is going to have to face off with is the state of Mississippi. But over the weekend, in an attempt to try to play word games, I guess this was actually on Friday, after the rule had been issued, the Deputy Press Secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, said, well, I'm just going to let you hear what she said. Play clip number 2.
As for the legal side of this, let me be crystal clear to avoid what appears to be possible misinformation or disinformation around the emergency temporary standard being a vaccine mandate. That would be on its face incorrect, as has been explicit for months. It is a standard for safe workplace to either comply with weekly testing or to be vaccinated.
Okay, maybe I missed something. How is that not a mandate? Either you get a shot, you get weekly testing, or you lose your job. I mean, we're playing word games here. Joining me now to talk more about this is the governor of the state of Mississippi, who is also in this fight for freedom, Governor Tate Reeves. Governor, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Tony. Good to be on.
So Mississippi has filed, as of last I saw in press reports, you filed 2 suits, one against the federal contractors mandate, as well as the one in the Fifth Circuit. You were a part of that case that Louisiana was a part of. Are there other suits that you're now filing?
Well, we're going to file an additional suit probably before the end of this week, Tony, which addresses what we just learned about late last week, which is this now desire to force healthcare workers, again, through a mandate by the federal government, force healthcare workers that receive funding from CMS, which basically is any healthcare provider that provides services for the Division of Medicaid, Medicare, or any other federal services. CMS is saying that all healthcare workers have to be vaccinated. Again, it is a mandate regardless of what the Deputy Press Secretary says. It is unconstitutional, it's illegal, and we plan to file suit sometime within the next few days.
Governor, what other actions does Mississippi plan to take to protect your citizens from this overreach of the federal government?
Well, we're really focused on litigation right now. We had a huge victory over the weekend. On Saturday, as you know, the Fifth Circuit, which includes Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, decided to take our case and issue a stay so that cannot take effect yet. And listen, Tony, let's be honest. The Biden administration argues that this is an emergency, but the president announced that this OSHA rule would come out over 60 days ago. It took them 60 days to actually issue the ruling, and it doesn't go into effect for another 60 days. So nothing says emergency like, well, it's going to take us 120 days to get our act together. The reality is this is an attempt by the federal government to expand its reach, to expand its control over the American people. It's unconstitutional and it's illegal. And in Mississippi, we're going to fight back using every tool we possibly have.
You know, Governor, that's a really good point about they're using the emergency rule procedure here, meaning they are taking shortcuts to get this rule through, not having the public input because of quote unquote an emergency. I mean, how do you say that there's an emergency? As you just pointed out, it's taken them this long to get to this point. But secondly, we're actually seeing a decline in the number of COVID hospitalizations. Some are suggesting that maybe we've reached that point of herd immunity where both those that are vaccinated and those that have natural immunity are providing that firewall.
Well, there's no question. If you look just in my state, from our numbers in August, we are down 90% from our peak in terms of total number of cases. We are down 85% from our peak in terms of total number of hospitalizations. We are down over 80% in terms of number of patients in the ICU. And so there's no question that we are not in the same spot that we've been over the last year and a half. But at the end of the day, the simplest way in which to look at this in my mind is regardless of how you feel about the vaccine, if the president of the United States has the unilateral authority to force Americans to get a jab in their arm or lose their jobs, the obvious question is, what does the president not have the authority to do?
Correct.
And that's just that's a fact. This action by this president should scare all Americans. It shouldn't matter what your political views are, because at some point we're not going to have a liberal Democrat in the office. We're going to have a conservative Republican. And I will tell you that if the president can do anything he or she wants unilaterally without actions by Congress, it takes us down a very, very scary and very slippery slope.
Could not agree with you more. And I think while the Fifth Circuit did not rule on the merits of this case, their comments would suggest that they have a similar view. They said they have those calls to believe there are grave statutory and constitutional issues with the mandate. And so that, I would suggest, says that they're looking at this in a very similar way. Governor, we're almost out of time, but I want to commend you for the way you've led Mississippi to fight for our freedoms in a number of ways, not only here on this issue of the mandate, but Mississippi is at the center of the issue of Roe v. Wade and abortion with the Dobbs case. And we're going to be down in Jackson, Mississippi on November the 28th, a Sunday night, for a prayer meeting. I know you're going to be joining us for that event, and we just appreciate your leadership and how Mississippi could be at the tip of the spear in overturning Roe v. Wade and sending that issue back to the states.
Well, thank you, Tony. We have a great opportunity. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear our case. We know the science has changed. We know that we are on the right side of this litigation, and we're going to work very, very hard. And I can't wait to welcome you back to Mississippi as well.
Well, Governor, always great to be with you. Thanks so much for joining this evening, and we look forward to seeing you just in a couple of weeks.
Look forward to seeing you.